Hi guys, we're gonna learn about expressed emotion today. And so basically we're gonna learn about nonverbal communication. So here we go. Emotions are expressed on the face, by the body, and by the intonation of voice. Is this nonverbal language of emotion universal? Nonverbal communication. Most of us are good at deciphering emotions through nonverbal communication. In a crowd of faces, a single angry face will pop out faster than a single happy face. This study is shown on page 511, and it just kind of basically tells us that some faces stick out more than others. And let's see if you can pick this out. So most of you in the last slide probably picked out the angry face right away. Now we're going to talk about gender, emotion, and nonverbal behavior. Women are much better at discerning nonverbal emotions than men. When shown sad, happy, and scary film clips, women express more emotions than men. And there's one good example from the book. As Jackie Larson left her Grand Maurice, Minnesota church prayer group one April 2001 morning, she encountered Christopher Bono, a clean-cut, well-mannered youth. Bono's car had broken down, and he said he was looking for a ride to meet friends in Thunder Bay. When Bono later appeared in Larson's shop, where she had promised to help him phone his friends, she felt a pain in her stomach. Intuitively sensing that something was very wrong with this young man, she insisted that they talk outside on the sidewalk. I said, I'm a mother and I have to talk to you like a mother. I can tell by your manners that you have a nice mother. At the mention of his mother, Bono's eyes fixed on her. I do not know where my mother is, he said. As the conversation ended, Larson directed Bono back to the church to meet the pastor. She called the police and suggested they trace his license plates. When police went to Bonzo's apartment where he lived with his mom, they found blood all over and Lucia Bono dead in the bathtub. Christopher Bono, 16, was charged with first-degree murder. And then it goes on saying how they did studies and women are more sensitive to nonverbal cues.
Okay, detecting and computing emotion. Most people find it difficult to detect deceiving emotions. Even trained professionals like police officers, psychiatrists, judges, and polygraphists detected deceiving emotions only 54% of the time. It was found that facial muscles can reveal most of our concealed emotions. However, when we're faking emotion, they tend to last they tend to last around 4 to 5 seconds, and our natural emotions tend to fade around 4 to 5 seconds. So that's not really a good enough indicator because nobody is just sitting in front of somebody just timing how long their facial expressions last. However, there are also other cues associated with lies, such as long pauses, fast talking, and hesitations that can also help somebody differentiate between lying and telling the truth. However, as it says on the slide, when they conducted a study using trained professionals to detect liars, they only got it right about half the time. Even in a study where they used the FBI and the CIA, the people who would interrogate criminals, I think the best group got about 70% right. So nobody can truly detect detect lying. A good example of conveying emotion is Hindu dance. In a classical Hindu dance, the body is trained to effectively convey 10 different emotions. So, emotion can be conveyed through body language, through facial muscles especially.
When culturally diverse people were shown basic facial expressions, they did fairly well at recognizing them. As people of different cultures and races, do our faces speak different languages? Here are some questions that you can think about to process this a little more. Do our faces speak different languages? Which facial expressions show disgust, anger, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise? In the picture shown. Also, Darwin contended that the free expression by outward signs of an emotion intensifies it. He who gives way to violent gestures will increase this rage. Darwin speculated that our ancestors communicated with facial expressions in the absence of language. Nonverbal facial expressions led to our ancestors' survival. Analysis of emotions are carried on in different levels. Biological influences, physiological arousal, evolutionary adaptiveness, response pathways in the brain, spillover effect. Psychological influences are cognitive labeling, gender differences, and they all connect to emotion, which also has social cultural influences, expressiveness, presence of others, culture and expectations, and such things as this. Nonverbal communication. Much of our communication is through the body's silent language. Psychologists have studied people's ability to detect emotion, even from thin slices of behavior. High-tech equipment has enabled researchers to make more precise linkages between some emotions and facial expressions. Culture and emotional expressions. Although some gestures are culturally determined, facial expressions such as happiness and fear are common in the world all over. In communal cultures that value interdependence, intense displays of potentially disruptive emotions are infrequent. The effects of facial expressions. Expressions do more than communicate emotion. They also amplify the felt emotion and signal the body to respond accordingly. Emotions then arise from the interplay of cognition, physiology, and expressive behaviors. Think about this one. Who tends to express more emotion, men or women? How do we know the answer to that question? Ask yourself. Think of one situation in which you would like to change the way you feel and create a simple plan for doing so. For instance, if you would like to feel more cheerful on your way to class tomorrow morning rather than dragging yourself there, you might try walking briskly, with your head held high and pleasant expression on your face. Things like this can change your whole aspect on your view on the day.
The effects of facial expressions. Expressions not only communicate emotion, but they also amplify it. Facial expressions show what you're feeling, but they can also influence what you're feeling. Have you ever heard the expression, fake it till you make it? If you put on a smile, then eventually you'll be happy. James Laird did a couple experiments in the 70s and 80s where he had students make different facial expressions, and then he documented how they felt. When students made frowning facial expressions, they felt angry, and their body reacted the same way as a stressor would have made them angry in a different situation, in a more authentic one. They got all worked up and their heart started going faster. Similarly, when students made smiling motions, they found things funnier and they were in a happier mood. They liked cartoons better, they laughed at jokes. This phenomenon is known as the facial feedback effect. It also works if you look at yourself in the mirror. If you're smiling, you're going to feel happy, and when you look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself smiling, you're going to feel even happier. It also works with self-talk, and when you're smiling, you feel good, and then if you're saying, man, this is really fun, I love this, then you're going to feel even better, and it's going to be that, reinforce that fake it till you make it kind of theory. The last piece of the effects of facial expressions is that you can imitate others and feel what they're feeling. It's that idea of empathy. If another person is smiling and then you smile, then you feel happy and you feel the same happiness that they're feeling, and same with sadness, or it just allows you to go through the same feelings that they are. And that's all we have for emotion.